90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we'll be talking about Lawline. They are a nationwide provider of CLE programs, and we're honored to have one of the leading people behind Lawline, Angelica Cesario. She will also talk about how lawyers and others can become part of their faculty and give CLE programs both for credit and to share their expertise. Angelica, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be here.
I know that you're one of the pioneers and one of the leaders of Lawline, so just tell us about their origins and your own involvement with Lawline.
Sure. And you give me too much credit. I'm fortunate to be a member of Lawline's leadership team, but it definitely was around way before me. And it's actually interesting. Lawline has been around for a while in different formats. So originally, Lawline was a public access TV show founded by our CEO's father, Alan Schnorman, where he'd interview lawyers and judges on different topics. And then fast forward a little bit later, our current CEO, David Schnorman, created an online TV show called True NYC, interviewing entrepreneurs. And then he kind of had an epiphany and he realized, wait a minute, why don't we focus on lawyers again and figure out how we can bring this online and into the educational space. This was around 2006, and he began building the company from the ground up, eventually reaching attorneys in every state. Now we're the largest online provider of continuing legal education, CLE, in the nation. So we have over 150,000 attorneys who've watched our courses at this point, and over 5 million courses completed, believe it or not.
And you also have your own professional studio where many of these shows are produced. Of course, they're now produced remotely, but you have a professional studio. You treat it as a very professional production from conception to the broadcast.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ken. Up until right before the pandemic, yes, we had a state-of-the-art studio built in-house where our faculty would come and record their programs. Top-of-the-line cameras, very well done. If you haven't seen a Lawline program, check one out. But just, imagine a news anchor, telling the news. That's sort of the look of it and the professional quality.
And having been there, I can say that's absolutely true. And you also have a process for scrutinizing the content of courses, making sure they are worthwhile, that they're worthy of CLE credit, that they will meet the needs of your audience. So tell us about that process.
Absolutely. So every course that we teach for continuing legal education has to meet certain requirements and regulations in order to be eligible for CLE, and we take that very seriously. So each state has their own requirements for materials, length of a program, and we want to make sure that the quality that we're presenting is high quality, it's substantive, and that after watching a course, an attorney can walk away having learned something, a skill that they can then apply in their day-to-day practice to help them better represent their clients. And I wanted to go back to your previous question too, and let you know that actually we are now a completely remote company since the pandemic hit. So we are filming all of our courses remotely, still created in-house with our production team. So we've been able to evolve with everything that's been happening in the world, thankfully.
What do you think is the next step? What will be the next evolution for Lawline? Do you produce programs for business? Do you produce programs for law students? Do you produce programs for lawyers and business people around the world?
It's a great question. We are continuing to expand and evolve as the legal industry develops. There are constantly, there are constant developments in the profession around technology. Look at everything that's happened this year alone. And we plan to be there every step of the way alongside attorneys in their careers. One thing we started developing recently, actually, was our new business and professional growth content. So this is content that we've created to help attorneys grow in their practice. So, if an attorney has a question, how can I get more clients? How do I market myself better? What are some ways that, I might be able to gain exposure for myself? So those are new types of content that we created.
Is this an ongoing program, or this is a particular course?
These are ongoing courses that we've created, and we plan to continue. We're also going to really build out the subjects that we think are really important to attorneys now, and will continue to be around, not just around career development, but around attorney wellness, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then, of course, we want to make sure that everything we provide is relevant and timely. So we're going to be, whatever's happening in the news and the world, we're going to be there making sure that our content is relevant.
And what are some new subjects or finer points of subjects that have become more relevant and important to your content because of COVID?
COVID has, as you can imagine,
I meant in business dealings or contractual language. There are new areas of law that are more important now while we're in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, COVID has impacted the legal profession a great deal in almost every practice area imaginable. So from how do you probate a will remotely? How are you negotiating remotely? How are you conducting client intake meetings remotely and maintaining client confidentiality and attorney-client privilege? How are you conducting a virtual hearing? What are your new ethical considerations in a remote work environment? How do you make sure you're still focused on diversity and inclusion in a remote workplace? What does it mean now when your employees are all over the place in different states? What are the tax considerations? So it's brought up so many questions, and we've developed 40 courses and up, all answering these different questions, and we're continuing to explore because these are ongoing issues, and some of them might become permanent changes. So we've been really trying to stay on top of everything and what attorneys need to know right away and what they need to know quickly.
Right, so you want to stay ahead of the curve. And what if an attorney has an idea for a program they'd like to see, or attorney or a business person, or perhaps they would like to offer one? They have an expertise. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, we would say we're always welcome new faculty to join our roster. So there are a few different ways to get in touch. They can always go to our website. It's the best place to go, lawline.com/faculty/join. There you can see all the benefits of becoming a Lawline faculty. You'll get exposure in front of thousands of attorneys. All of our faculty get a public profile page where they can, celebrate their achievements, and potential clients can reach out to them through that page. So they can always apply through there. They can contact our support team too, support@lawline.com. And we will get in touch. We are always looking for new content from wherever you are, whatever the practice area is. And then similarly, if someone wants to suggest a program, the second part of your question, that would be the way to do it, through our support team. Or if any course you watch, leave a comment. Let us know. We are always reviewing course comments and requests for content, and we take that feedback very seriously. We really want to create the courses that our attorneys need, and we hold ourselves accountable and make sure that everyone's needs are fulfilled, because at the end of the day, it's not just about making sure attorneys fulfill their credits, but it's about making sure that they can better represent their clients and pursue justice for their clients ultimately.
And as you've mentioned, Lawline has a very high bar in terms of the courses they present. They want to make sure there's substance and meat and details and materials behind them. Just tell us about the process. You conceived the idea for a program, perhaps an update about the impact of COVID on real estate, or as you said, trying cases, or almost any aspect of law has changed or been modified a little or will be modified because of COVID or its ramifications. What's the process from the idea generation? How do you fine-tune that with the presenters or find presenters until it's produced and then offered by Lawline?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ken. So one of two ways. So initially, there are two ways a course is created, right? We may say like, oh, wow, this there's a subject matter that's really important, or a customer has requested this. Let's do the research, dig in, find out who the best person to teach would be, and reach out to them. Or, as you mentioned, we may have people reach us with an idea, or, esteemed faculty like yourself who's have an idea and come to us with it. And so we say, okay, great, let's do it. And we really think about, okay, how do we design this course to make sure it has the best impact possible? The first step is going to be, we work together, come up with a title, a course description, all the materials that every CLE regulator requires. We want to make sure we not just meet that, but far exceed it. And then creating the course description, we really think about, okay, what are the outcomes of this course? What is an attorney watching going to take away from it? And then we create the course materials for it, and we work with the faculty member hand in hand. All of our faculty are well versed in this. They know their profession. They're experts in the field, and it's just putting their ideas to paper and communicating it. And it's, sometimes we have a back and forth. We want to make sure that the materials are substantive enough to meet requirements, that they are going to be a great guide for attorneys after they watch the program. They can say, oh, wow, Ken made this really great point. What was that? And they can go back to those written materials and be able to see it. And then afterwards, our courses are filmed as live webcasts. So during the course, customers can ask questions live, and have that direct response from the faculty member. And then our courses are placed on demand on our website. And so attorneys can watch at their convenience. We know that they're on the go, they're busy, they've got a lot happening in their lives. So when it's on demand, they can watch a course, pause, come back to it later. They can watch it on the go on our app. And then, we continue to monitor customer comments and see how we can continue to make our courses better and make more of what people need.
And of course, your courses are offered at different levels. Some are for the relatively new lawyer or the novice in a particular field. Some are a deeper dive for an intermediate level attorney who maybe is in a specialized area, or now that area is taking on a different focus, perhaps because of COVID, or they're changing their practice areas, or they have a new matter that they have to want to learn some background about, or just upgrade their knowledge of strategy or techniques or a certain aspect of the case law.
That's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. So for every topic, there are probably a million different ways to approach it. If you're doing a course on depositions, for example, it could be a course geared towards the attorney who's just graduated from law school and is entering the field. Or, what is an attorney who's been practicing for 30 years now? What are some of the questions they have and that they're facing? So, yes, all difficulty levels. And then within that, they can become very granular or advanced in nature by practice area. The perspective may differ based on whether someone is plaintiff counsel or defense counsel. So all of our courses incorporate those nuances and some take those deeper dives to really get at what the real experience of an attorney is.
Would I just to remind our listeners that we're talking with attorney Angelica Cesario, and she is the Director of Programs. I apologize if that's not your exact title, but she is responsible for programming content with Lawline. And as you've heard, they are a nationwide CLE provider. They're based in New York, and they offer hundreds of new CLE programs professionally produced throughout the year and maintain a library of past programs. And Angelica, you mentioned some before, but what are some new specific topics that you have produced because of COVID or because of recent developments in the news?
Yeah, so I think we all know there's been a lot happening in the news in the last few months alone, but with the pandemic, we've created a whole library of content geared towards how attorneys can navigate this new normal, so to speak. The pandemic has impacted the profession in nearly every way imaginable. So we have, worked with our faculty to create content that really runs the gamut from, initially, at the very onset, how do you transition to a remote workplace? What are the file systems you need? How do you maintain client privilege? How are you conducting virtual intake meetings? To how do you conduct now virtual arbitrations and virtual proceedings? How do you probate a will remotely? How do you maintain diversity and inclusion in a remote work environment? Attorney wellness has also been a very huge issue. Everything that's happening in the pandemic has only exacerbated many of the issues that profoundly impact the profession, like depression and substance abuse, due to the anxieties and pressures that attorneys face. So that's also been something that we've been taking very, very seriously, so that we can provide the content that attorneys need for their practice and to better represent their clients, but also to better take care of themselves and their whole self.
And some of your programs are well suited for solo practitioners or someone who works in a particular area of the law or is part of a boutique firm, as well as you offer programs to the largest law firms who have branches around the world.
That's right. And, with over 150,000 attorneys watching our courses, we have to make sure that we offer a diverse range of content that meets the attorneys where they are and that's relevant to their individual practice. So, we have content geared towards, solo and small practitioners from, if you're a solo practitioner, there are things at a large law firm you may have to think about more closely, like file management, virtual calls. How do you set that up? Client generations, cybersecurity. So you'll find a lot on our catalog geared towards solo and small practitioners. Likewise, we have faculty from the biggest firms in the country. So their content will differ, and it will be for attorneys who are at those major firms. We also have content geared toward in-house counsel as well, who have a whole separate set of concerns as corporate counsel. So we really try to make sure that we're providing a diverse array of courses in our catalog.
Are many of your programs of interest or assistance to non-lawyer business executives or people in an allied profession?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes. One thing I will say, just as a side note, is we do offer continuing professional education as well. So those are on our sister site, furthered.com. So those are courses for CPAs and accountants. But our courses are geared towards lawyers who live in the real world. So our courses are applicable to real world issues, even if you're not a lawyer. Many of these topics are transferable across the board, particularly around some of the growing areas I mentioned before, like career development, client development, public speaking, for example, virtual hearings. Those things are all widely applicable. Our content around wellness and mindfulness. Those are issues that we all grapple with, attorney or otherwise. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are issues not just specific to the legal profession, but go beyond. We have a lot of courses too around business law, insurance. Some of our recent cases around COVID were around business interruption insurance or applying for CARES Act relief. Those are all things that are widely applicable.
And also, you probably have courses on human resources, on risk management, on confidentiality,
exactly right.
Health law issues that are applicable to lawyers, but an executive or administrator working in those fields can probably learn a lot from it and just get a little bit of a legal background without having to go to law school.
Exactly right. So we might have courses on creating workplace agreements. Those are things that HR managers and business executives need to be well versed in. It really runs the gamut, but we do have a lot that's of significant interest, regardless of whether you're an attorney or not.
I just want to remind the listeners, you're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. This is Law You Should Know, and we're talking with Angelica Cesario, and she's in charge of programming at Lawline, and she's one of their lead attorneys who's been with them and helped the organization to expand and grow over the years. And as you've heard, they are a nationwide provider of CLE programs. Many old ones on almost every subject, from any legal subject you can imagine, from A to Z. And of course, they have many more programs because of COVID. Do you collaborate with law schools, with law students, with local bar associations to offer your content to their members?
Yeah, we are always looking to build new relationships. We have worked with bar associations to develop new content, with faculty recruitment efforts to diversify our faculty slate. That's something that's very important to us. Now that everyone is remote, we've also partnered with other groups to offer our online platform as a host for virtual conferences. We really see a lot of synergy and potential for partnerships with bar associations and law students as well. We don't have any law student partnerships currently, but we're always open to new relationships. And we do provide a lot of content for attorneys who have just graduated from law school and are newly admitted. So that would definitely be of appeal to law students about to enter the profession.
And if you're a law student, or perhaps even a paralegal or paralegal student, I'm sure you could find courses on the Lawline site that will give you an insight into particular issues about the law or the process of resolving disputes that may be of value to you in your work or achieving a specialty as a paralegal or as a lawyer, even if you don't need it for your work at present. And you can always reach out to the faculty or talk to other lawyers in that field and tell them that you've taken that course or that special training.
That's right. Yeah. Go ahead, Ken.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's right. Many states actually have specific requirements for newly admitted attorneys, certain types of courses that they need to take. So we provide courses that meet those requirements and are specifically geared towards attorneys who are newly admitted. So that they're 1 or 2 years newly admitted to the bar. And those might be around, how to conduct your first deposition. What are what are the do's and don'ts? We have beginners content that really provides the foundation that attorneys need.
And if an attorney wants to, when an attorney wants to switch areas of practice, your courses will give them a deeper dive. I'm sure they'll help stand out in an interview or a conversation if they can explain how they've taken those courses and they're ready to hit the ground running. Just lastly, can an attorney or a business professional just take one of your courses, or do you have different bundles or packages available?
Great question. Yeah, so we offer an unlimited subscription that's $299, and you get unlimited CLE for the entire year across any practice area. You get access to our 1,500 plus courses. We have a basic level subscription as well, and attorneys can purchase courses a la carte as well. So there are several different options. And I really encourage anyone to just take a look, and they're sure to be there, something there to meet your needs.
And just give us your contact information if an attorney or a business person would like to suggest a program, or would like just to look up the many programs available on Lawline, or see what's coming up in the future.
Of course. So definitely lawline.com is the best place to go if you want to contact us directly in programs at lawline.com. It's the best place. Send us an email and we'll definitely get back to you.
Okay. Any other particular area that you're looking to considering later in 2021 or beyond? The areas you would like to take a deeper dive into?
Yeah, so, diversity and inclusion is really a big one. There's been a lot of social unrest over the last year, and we think, this is an important issue. It's important to us. Beyond CLE, that's something that we take very seriously. Our anti-racism efforts are something that we've been taking very seriously and will continue to. So that's a major area. Business and professional growth. And then, some of the areas that we're seeing really a lot of development are technology as well, and how that impacts the legal practice. I think a lot of law firms will continue to be hybrid or some sort of virtual in some sense. And then, of course, we want to make sure our attorneys have the skills they need and the ethical foundations that they need. So those are the areas where we're really will be continuing to expand.
I would like to thank our guest, Angelica Cesario, who's in charge of content for Lawline. And as you've heard, she can be reached and they can be reached if you have an idea for a program, you would like to speak at one of their programs, or you feel one would be of value to you or your colleagues. And they have programs just covering about everything from A to Z. And they have many programs in their library, and they're always creating new programs every week to meet the needs of the legal profession and perhaps others who work in business but deal with lawyers or law-related issues. If you missed any part of this program or you'd like to recommend it to a friend or colleague, just go to nccradio.org. And please join us again next week at this time on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, for another program on Law You Should Know.